And on and on and on. I can play, you know, so many different kind of variations of the same thing. But this video, I know it's been a while since I've made an instructional kind of video. And I got fans blaring everywhere. Let me turn some of these down. It's just talking about the B-bender. So I got my little modified Franken-Tele here. I put my hip shot B-bender back on this thing. The stuff I'm going to talk about doesn't really have anything to do with the actual bender mechanics. It's the licks. So I think the cool thing is, you know, I haven't done a video in a while, but the things that I'm going to talk about in this video kind of directly tie together with stuff I've talked about in the past. So I think it's a beginner bender video, but it's not a beginner guitar video. I'm assuming that you know your kind of caged type of chord shapes in this, and I'm going to be talking about mainly like A major, so like an A major pentatonic, you know, that type of thing. So I'll like put up a quick little diagram, but the cage shapes kind of integrate into the mindset that you need to have for like the bender sound. And so, you know, what's kind of cool about it is when you do kind of get a good grasp or get your grip onto the caged kind of system, like an E to A roll, that type of thing, which I've talked about before, directly, you know, goes into a B-bender lick, right? All we're really doing is replacing this hammer-on with a bend. So what's cool is I'm going to put up a diagram. For A major, you know, you have all these kind of like boxes, and then you have the pentatonic, and then you have this other box, and then you have this kind of last, like, you know, cage shape. So you have this, those are the main three kind of shapes. And if you throw in the pentatonic scale kind of to link these two boxes, then you basically covered the main fundamental area of like the B-bender sound. So I'm going to show you like kind of these three boxes. So the first main one, right, is what I was just doing, and I'm playing like an E to an A, right, and I'm adding some kind of frills in there. Oh, I'm realizing that you can't even really see what I'm doing. Right, something like that. Right. And I'm holding the B-bender while I'm playing. Right. And then you can hit the top here, second fret on the E, and pull off. I'm just going between the B and the E string. And I don't think, like, I'm not going to spend too much time on the exact picking pattern and exact notes, but it's more of a feel thing. Like, having a really great bender style is a lot more feel based. And so I would, you know, highly encourage you to use your ear, because things can get kind of crazy with the B-bender, and, you know, developing your ear is really the way to kind of, you know, find your way, more than like an explicit, like, you do this thing every time. The B-bender is kind of slippery. It's like a gummy worm or something that wants to kind of do it. It's slippery. It's hard to explain, but so that's one of the first boxes. And then another thing you can do is in this pentatonic, right? So it's 5-2, 5-2, 4-2. On the B string, if you think about it more of like a major scale or something, on the B string you have 5-3-2, right? And because the bender goes up a whole step, you can go from this 3rd fret to 5th fret. And I like to use it by going from the 3rd to the 5th on the B string and hitting the 5th fret on the E string. You hear that? And then you can tie back into the lick that we just were playing. You hear that? They kind of like go hand in hand, and I think that it's a nice sound. You can also do. It's kind of weird because you're bending up, and then you're playing the pentatonics. So I'm playing second 5. What's weird is like I'm bending 3 to 5 on the B and then the second on the E, but then I go to the 5 on the B, which is the same note, which kind of gives this like cool syncopated thing when I then go to the 5th fret on the E string. And I'm just releasing on that 5th fret. So that's the moving to the 3rd box is kind of like the same kind of that we have in the second to open position. We have 7 5. Yeah, it's the same kind of movement. You're going from the 5 to the 7 up to the 5, which is the same as. So, and then you can kind of extend up and go to like the 9th fret and up to the 10 if you can reach there. But I'm holding the bender while I'm doing these licks. And then releasing. And then you can kind of link them all together. And then the last kind of lick here is in this 9-10-9 shape, the caged kind of shape. You can bend up from 10 to 12 on the B string and kind of release on the 12th fret. And then if you just move up, you're basically an octave up from where we started, and you can kind of finish the phrase. I know I'm not like being super specific. I don't really like being hyper specific and telling people exactly what to play where. I kind of wanted to show you like a general roadmap, and then, you know, let you hear for yourself how I would play these licks, because there's no rules, obviously. And this is just like the kind of foundational stuff. You know, you can start moving into more of like a dominant kind of that type of sound, but you know, at its core, you want to have this for a beginner type of deal. And like, this is all assuming that we're playing over just like a single chord, like an A, right? So here's like a loop of me playing like just an A, kind of like a lay down Sally thing, but just on A, right? I'm just going between the things that I just showed you. The magic kind of comes from the time feel of how you kind of slip around. This is what I was saying, it's very slippery. It's kind of like the boom, it has this chicken picking thing. And obviously we're like, this is important for me to say, obviously we're like paying homage to the great Clarence White. Clarence White is the grandfather of the B-bender thing, and he had a very cool hybrid picking, you know, he was like one of the first real like hybrid chicken pickers, and he has this kind of style of doing these like kind of bigger, like these very emotive, like it's like that type of like syncopated feel. And so that's what I'm going for when I play over, you know, when I play with a B-bender or something like a lay down Sally kind of. Something that has a little bit of swing to it. And when you listen to Bird's records, Clarence is playing very clean, but if you listen to him live, it sounds like he's playing through like a bandmaster or a bassman, like absolutely cranked. And so he is playing country music, but man, he has a pretty distorted tone. My booster's off, but when I turn it on, this is more what I hear from him, like a... This is a bassman that's cranked, but it's like it's got a grit to it. It's not clean. And I highly recommend, you know, if you want to like listen to bender music, you know, obviously like Brad Paisley and people more like, you know, Brent Mason. There's people that kind of took it and ran with it, G benders and stuff, but to me, Clarence is like the source. And if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of good shows from like 68, 69, and 70. Not a lot, there's a few kind of archived recordings, and you can get a feel for his feel, his sound, his approach, and his tone. But, you know, that's what I'm kind of doing here. And a lot of what I just talked about is what he's doing. You know, if you have a good grasp on the kind of cage thing, and you can kind of start to get a good time feel over a single chord, right, like this. Like those licks where you're bending up, but you're not really like doing much with the bender. You hold it up. It's all the other stuff that you're playing while holding it. Right? I feel like I'm a little flat here. That time feel, you know, you should be able to, or you should probably focus on being able to play over a single chord with some cool time feel, and then move on to progressions that have more chords going on. And there's a lot of magic that can kind of happen there, but I might save that for another video because I have a tendency to ramble. But that's kind of the foundational stuff. If you want to, you know, start moving into something else, you can kind of start adding in a flat 7. So, right, we're going that type of thing, but you can start adding in this flat 7. Right, to get a more like, just a more dominant sound. So instead of 9, 10, 9 here, I'm playing 9, 8, 9 and bending up to that 10. Right, and I'm using this shape, but I can use my pinky on the E string to play the 10th fret. Right, to get that kind of like dominant Mixolydian kind of sound. Something that, you know, Clarence would do all the time too is like when you have a classic song that's like a ballad and it's an A or whatever key and you're going to go to the 4 chord, you can play the A and then you can play the dominant of that same chord. And there's like some other theory going on here, but really all you're doing is taking that little box, or just 2 notes, the G and the B, and then you move down a whole step into the 4 chord, right? And so, you know, if you wanted the literal kind of notes here, it's 14, 14, 12, but then you go 11, 12, 10. Right, so and what's cool about that is you're flatting this note on the D string. But if you have a song that is going from like A to like a flat 7 sound, like to like a G, and then like a D, you know, which is also a very classic country sound. Right, all you have to do is move the A to the G, so you're just moving that same lick down a whole step. That dominant lick and that flat 7 lick are very, very similar. You know, if you just have your G and your B string, you're playing the same thing. It's really just the 3rd note that you add that gives it the color. So it's a good thing to kind of like remember how to play that lick, or where is that dominant thing. when you're starting out. You know, that's a very common 1 to 4, or if you're doing a 1 flat 7 to 4, it's still like kind of the same idea, right? Which are both things that you'll hear Clarence White do all the time. I think that's kind of where I want to end it. I know that I can be fairly rambly, but hopefully this is like interesting to a certain very specific set of people. To me, like, finding B-bender stuff is very niche and kind of like hard to find, and I kind of had to like pave my own way when I was first playing, which is good, you know, using your ear and stuff. But I think that's kind of generally all I wanted to say. You know, the caged boxes are your friends. Really, I mean, that's what's driving your B-bender licks. A little bit of pentatonic, but not a lot, you know. And then having like a maybe more distorted tone than you would actually think. I'm not in tune right now, but you know, there's a lot of gain happening. And if you listen to like Clarence, you'll hear it, like he was cranked. Okay, I think that's all I really wanted to say on the B-bender stuff. If you like this, just let me know. I'll make another one, maybe talk about stuff in more detail. But once you get the bug, it's really addicting. So hopefully this helps some aspiring B-bender players. Cool, man. Thanks.